Hello, this is a course on how to use the legacy portal, what is that you will find in the legacy portal, and who can use it. So the legacy portal is the place that holds all the breeding raptor records gathered by the Scottish Raptor Monitoring Scheme, which has been operating since 2003. It is updated annually with the breeding records from the previous year, which are sent into the scheme via either the dedicated online system, SRMS Online, or a standardized reporting spreadsheet. All 9 SRMS partners have access to the legacy portal and the data it holds. And as an SRMS Online user, you have access to a subset of the legacy portal through your account. The data sorted in the legacy portal is secure and can be accessed by designated representatives of the scheme partner organizations. All the records contained in the legacy portal have explicit permission to be shared among SRMS partners and used for the full range of SRMS uses. Please ensure that you're familiar with the data sharing agreement before you make use of any of the legacy portal data. You can find this document on the SRMS website or ask your SRMS coordinator for a copy. Once you're given your specific username and password, this is the legacy portal website, and this is where you're going to log into. The legacy portal contains raptor breeding records of all species covered by the scheme from all 12 SRMS regions in Scotland. As I mentioned, users of SRMS Online can access a subset of the data held in the legacy portal through the reports functionality available in SRMS Online. This is what you will see if you are an SRMS Online user. You go to your reports section, and where you see historic data for users, this is where you can access your legacy portal data. The extent of data available to individuals through this function depends on the group they are in, the species they monitor, and any coordinator or chair role they hold within a partner organization, such as the Scottish Raptor Study Group. What data are in the legacy portal? This is an extract of the data that you will find in there. Each row contains a summary of the territory check and breeding record information for a site and year. These records are exported in a comma-delimited text file that is similar in format to the recording spreadsheet still widely used by SRMS recorders, particularly by many SRSG members. These records span the period from 2003 breeding season until the breeding season prior to the current year. Legacy portal records comprise the following information. You will see at the very top a code ID. Each record in the SRMS legacy dataset has a unique ID. Any query about a particular record can refer to this ID in communications with the SRMS coordinator or BTO data scientist. The observer is the person that collected the record. The year is obviously the year the record relates to. Source is the organization to whom this record is attributed to. Species is the SRMS species the record relates to. The reporting region and reporting sub-region are areas used by SRMS in its annual reporting. For a map of SRMS subregions and regions, please go to Raptor Monitoring SRMS website, where you will find these areas one by one. And in here, you can find each one of the areas that the SRMS uses. Let's go back again to this one. Your grid reference is the Ordnance Survey, the Great Britain Ordnance Survey grid reference for the record. Where possible, field workers are asked to provide a six-figure number, which will be 100-meter resolution, or more precise grid reference, which can get up to 1-meter resolution. Northings and eastings, latitude coordinates component to the OS grid reference in numerical format. The precision is what I'm talking about. This is a resolution of the OS grid reference. So 4-figure number will be a 1 kilometer resolution, a 6-figure number will be a 6-meter resolution, and a 10-figure number will be the equivalent to 1-meter resolution. Also, the data contributors are asked to provide information about the nesting habitat around the nest. And this is the most prevalent habitats around the nest site. What tree, what building, what sort of thing is the next thing that you will find in here, which is your nest type. Is it been built by the birds? Is it man-made? Is it a nest box? Occupancy status is the information number and presence or absence of birds in the territory. So is the territory occupied? Is it by a single bird? Is it by a pair of birds? And then you will find also information on eggs. And this is information on the number of eggs laid or hatched, and information on number of young, which either came out of that nest or did not come out of that nest. The breeding outcome will be the sum of all of the above observations that helps make a decision of what the outcome of that breeding season is. And so you will end up with something being unknown, successful, or failed. There is also geographic information associated with the record. The SRMS home range is another geographical piece of information that SRMS uses for reference. We also divide the data by SOC region, by natural heritage zone, grid reference type, and once again, you will see in here the grid reference according to its resolution. So who has access to the legacy portal? You will find a list of people that have access to the legacy portal in the data sharing agreement. These people that have access to the data sharing agreement, to the legacy portal found in the data sharing agreement document, are called your gatekeepers. Those named in this document are responsible for approving access to people in their organization. They can provide indirect access to the data by extracting the data set, filtering it as required, and password protecting the file. I will show you how to protect the document with a password later in this video. In exceptional circumstances, the gatekeeper can arrange for direct access by sending a request to the Scottish Raptor Monitoring Coordinator. They have to provide name, email, and organizational role of the person that will be accessing the system. Then they will be given a unique username and password so that they can access the data. The responsibilities of the legacy portal gatekeeper are to store the data securely by their organization. They must ensure that the data are used appropriately and responsibly by their organization. They are responsible to delete the data when they finish using it. Any outputs have to be appropriately acknowledged. Data are not to be shared with anyone outside of their organization. They need to ensure that data are not sold by the organization other than those provided and owned by the organization. Data are not used for any purposes not explicitly described in the data sharing agreement. Copies of publications or reports in the public domain that draw on SRMS data have to be supplied to the SRMS coordinator. And last but not least, each partner gatekeeper must report back to the SRMS at the end of April on what they used SRMS data for during the course of the previous year, using the appropriate template. These can be requested from the coordinator. How to access the SRMS data? Partner representatives with direct access can use the username and password they have been allocated to log into the legacy data portal. This is how your legacy data portal will look like. SRMS recommends that gatekeepers provide exacts of the legacy data set to individuals in their organization as required. In exceptional circumstances, you may want to grant access directly by contacting the SRMS coordinator. The legacy data set can be downloaded in a CSV format from the legacy data portal. We suggest that gatekeepers retrieve the file from the downloads, convert it to an XLS format, which can then be password protected, and if relevant, a subset of the data be given to the relevant combination. How to access the SRMS data? Partner representatives with direct access can use the username and password they have been allocated. Once they're in the legacy data portal, they will see this screen. In here, you can choose data by regions and add as many as you want. All the species can be as well added, and the years, specific years. When you run an extract, then this can be downloaded as a CSV format and we suggest that gatekeepers retrieve the file from the downloads, convert it to an XLS file format, which can then be password protected. To enable password protection from an Excel spreadsheet, select information from the File menu. Imagine this is your extract. And you can go into File menu. Information. Protect workbook. In order to enable password protection in your Excel sheet, you will have to change the file from a CSV file, which you see in here, to an XLS file. And then go into File, Information, Protect Workbook, and encrypt with a password. In order to follow best practice, the extract should be deleted from the downloads folder once it has been copied to a secure location. What limitations does the SRMS data has? Raptor breeding records are not randomly distributed across Scotland, but are largely drawn from study areas selected by volunteers. This means that data may not be wholly representative of regional and national raptor populations. Survey coverage for each raptor species varies widely between different parts of Scotland, and absence of records does not mean absence of raptors. The most recent records in the legacy data will be from the previous breeding season. If you need more up-to-date information, you should contact the relevant Scottish Raptor Study Group branch or branches. And SRMS data are frequently updated to include historical records submitted by contributors and records from contributors who have recently signed up to SRMS data sharing agreements. To ensure that the data used by partners are as up-to-date and accurate as possible, we advise downloading the legacy data regularly. I hope that this has given you a very broad idea of how to get your data out of here. If you get in any trouble or need any further help, please contact your SRMS coordinator.